Hey everyone, welcome back to your learning journey in the statistics and probability for data science. Now in this video one, we are going to learn about the data and the information. So as we progress in this video, we'll talk about what exactly is this data and what is the information and its role in data science. So to put it simply, when I talk about data, data is just a raw, unprocessed data. So it's just a raw and unprocessed collection of information. So that is what we call it as a data set. And when we talk about information, information is a processed, organized, and a structured collection of data. Now, when we talk about in data science as well as in statistics, we use both these words, that is data and information. Normally, they are actually used together. Both are actually very important whenever we are performing the reasoning, calculation, as well as decision making. But there is a distinct difference between these data and the information. So, as a data scientist or the person who is interested in data science, it's always important to understand what exactly is the difference between this data and the information. And one thing that you always have to remember is this information is always relying on the data. So let's get started and let's understand what exactly is this data. See, when I say data, as I mentioned, it's a individual statistics. It's the collection of individual statistics. It's a collection. Okay, it's a collection of individual statistics, facts, and the items of information. So it's a collection of facts, to put it simply. So technically, the singular form of data, we actually call it as a datum or a datum. Okay, this is actually a singular form of data, but we rarely use whenever we are talking about it or in our everyday language. So this data is actually in a raw form, and it has to be organized and it has to be interpreted so that we can extract the useful information out of this data set. So in other words, I can say that this data, it does not carry any meaning or the purpose on its own. However, we use this data for everything, for research studies, finances, business management, and even in all forms of human activities, and even while analyzing the business as well. So this data can actually come in any form. So this data, it can come in a text form, so it can come in graphical format, or it can come in a numerical format like the numbers, or this data can be in image format as well. And this data, it might include the list of dates, temperature, scores of a test, individual prices of the products, and so on. But remember, on its own, data does not have any meaning. So that's one important thing that you always have to know when we talk about this data set. And here we can describe this data as a smallest unit of factual information, which we can generally use it for reasoning, calculation, as well as discussion. Now, when we talk about this data set, so this data in general, it can be of two categories. One, we call it as a quantitative data. Okay, I'll call it as a quantitative data. And another type of data, we actually call it as a qualitative data. Okay, quantitative data and the qualitative data. So quantitative data is like the quantities. So these are the data which takes the numerical format. So the example can be as like prices, weights, temperature, and so on. When we talk about this qualitative data, it takes up the descriptive or a string data, like the characteristics of a people. And the another example is gender or names, address, and so on. So these can be the examples of qualitative data set. Now here, sometimes we also categorize the data as a primary data and the secondary data whenever we are talking about research. So this is about a high level information about this data. Okay, this is about the high level understanding about this data. So to summarize, data is a collection of facts and figure. So on its own, data does not have any meaning, and the data can be in any format: text, graph, numbers, or image data. And the data can be categorized into two types. One is quantitative data and the qualitative data. Now that you have the high level understanding about this data set, now let's understand what exactly is this information. Now here, when we talk about this information, so information is a processed data. So information is the data which is processed, organized, as well as present in a structured manner. Okay, so here information, it's a data that is processed, organized, and structured. Here, this information, whenever we are going through any information, it provides a context for the data set, and mainly it helps us in the decision making process. Now here, when we talk about this data, so this data is an individual number or the figure, but information is the knowledge which we can gather from this collection of the data set. For example, I can describe the scores of the individual students in a specific examination. But if I take all the student score, we can actually derive the information about the average score of the student in a specific subject. And I can come to know who are all the learners who are actually weak and who are all the learners who are strong learners. So this is the information that I can derive from this overall collection of the data set. So you might have understood how information is playing a crucial role in decision making. I hope it's now clear to you the difference between the data and the information. So information, it's an data which is processed, organized, and structured. So data is just a simple collection of facts and figure. Now the question is, why do we bother? I mean, why are we interested? Okay, why are we interested in knowing about the difference between this data and the information? So just think about it. In case of data science and machine learning, you will be given with the data. Maybe you've been given with the data set about the collection of data which has got, let's say, 4 columns as the input and 1 column which is an output. Now here, this data set contains the information about the patients with diabetes condition. So I've got the information about their blood pressure, weight, and age, and number of pregnancies. So these are the information that I've got as features, and I have the information as whether the person is diabetic or not. So here, like this, I'm having the collection of, let's say, 1000 rows in my data set. So this 1000 rows, what does it actually contain? So from the information that you have just learned in this video, so what do you think about this 1000 rows? Is it a data or is it an information? Let me know in the comment section. Excellent. So this 1000 rows, it's actually a data set because it is just the collection of the facts and figures about 1000 people. Now using this data set, I'm going to perform the analysis. Now while performing the analysis, maybe I'll do a grouping using pandas library and I'll try to report as, okay, so people who are actually diabetic, so their age is this, or people who are not diabetic, their age is this, their average age is this. So that is actually an example of information. I hope you're now clear about the difference between the data and the information. All right, folks. Now, as we progress in our upcoming learning journey, so here, the next video is about the statistical analysis. So we'll look into the statistical analysis in our next video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. So thank you so much, guys, for watching till the end. Now, if you're someone who wants to take your learning journey to the next level, I highly recommend you to check out our course, Statistics and the Probability for Data Science, which is at a very affordable price. We are available on our website, manifoldailearning.in, and you can also check out the course on Udemy as well. And all the source code will be available to you for free. Check out the link in description. So I'll see you in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. Take care, everyone.